God's chosen one, 7 signs. Your spiritual awakening is over. It's time to use your powers. Chosen one, this is not coincidence. You were meant to hear this today. Have you been feeling it? That unexplainable pull, that sense that something massive is about to shift in your life. What if I told you that the restlessness you've been feeling isn't random? It's divine activation. What if everything you've experienced until now was merely preparation for what's about to begin? The universe doesn't make mistakes, chosen one. Your eyes finding these words right now was written in the stars long before you were born. You've been searching, seeking, looking for answers beyond the veil of this world. But the seeking phase is over. The spirit gate is opening before you. Ancient wisdom keepers spoke of this moment when the chosen would awaken not just to truth, but to their sacred power. You are no longer the one searching. You are the answer. The world is at a tipping point, light and darkness in their final dance. And you, yes, you were called for such a time as this. There are 7 sacred signs that confirm your spiritual awakening is complete. 7 divine markers that separate the seekers from the activated. If you recognize yourself in these signs, everything changes. The journey of awakening is over, and the mission officially begins. The power you felt stirring inside wasn't imagination. It was your divine birthright awakening. If you feel like you didn't stumble upon this video by accident, if something deep within you is resonating right now, comment 7 to confirm to the universe, I'm ready to step out of my comfort zone. The time for waiting is over. The time for preparation is over. The time for doubt is over. This is your moment of divine activation, chosen one. And there's no turning back. Have you been feeling it lately? That inexplicable sense that something fundamental has shifted within you? Do you sometimes catch yourself in moments of perfect stillness, where the boundary between your body and everything around you seems to dissolve? Have you noticed that you no longer desperately search for signs from above, because somehow, somewhere along your journey, you became the sign itself? Chosen one, what you're experiencing right now is the first unmistakable sign that your spiritual awakening is complete. The desperate searching has ended. The endless questioning has ceased. The separation, that painful illusion that kept you feeling isolated, disconnected, adrift in this vast universe, has finally shattered. Remember when you first began this journey, how you felt so small, so alone, how you looked up at the stars and felt the crushing weight of your insignificance, how you begged for signs, for confirmation that you were on the right path. That version of you seems like a distant memory now, doesn't it? As Psalm 139:7-10 reminds us, where can I go from your spirit? Where can I flee from your presence? If I go up to the heavens, you are there. If I make my bed in the depths, you are there. If I rise on the wings of the dawn, if I settle on the far side of the sea, even there your hand will guide me. The psalmist knew what you now feel in your bones. There is nowhere you can go where the divine is not, because you and the divine are inseparably one. This oneness isn't just spiritual poetry, it's your new reality. When did it happen? When did you stop feeling like an outsider looking in? When did you stop begging the universe for connection and start embodying it instead? Look at your hands right now. Really look at them. Do you realize these aren't just your hands? They're the universe's way of touching itself. Your eyes aren't just your eyes. They're how the cosmos beholds its own magnificence. You are not a stranger here. You are not a visitor passing through. You are the very fabric of existence temporarily experiencing itself as you. The Apostle Paul understood this when he wrote in Acts 17:28, "For in him we live and move and have our being." Now, when you walk through a forest, you don't just see trees, you feel them as extensions of yourself. When you gaze at the night sky, those stars aren't millions of miles away. They're right here inside you where they've always been. You are no longer a drop of water looking at the ocean. You are the ocean, experiencing itself as a drop of water. This isn't pride, dear one. This isn't blasphemy. This is the sacred truth that Jesus himself pointed to when he said, "The kingdom of God is within you," in Luke 17:21. When this sign appears in your life, everything changes. The desperate seeking ends. The constant need for validation disappears. The fear of being lost, of taking a wrong turn. All of it dissolves in the light of this profound knowing. You move differently now, don't you? There's a quiet confidence in your steps, a peace that passes understanding. You trust the flow of life because you are the flow. And here's what most people will never tell you about reaching this stage. Once you truly feel this connection, you can never unfeel it. Even in your darkest moments, even when human doubts creep in, something deep within you knows. The veil once lifted cannot be lowered again. This is why your awakening is over, chosen one. You've graduated from the school of separation. You've remembered who you truly are, and now you must use this power, because when you know, truly know, that you are one with all that is what can possibly stand in your way. Have you ever felt like you no longer need external signs because you have become the light within? Comment, "I am one with the universe." As we move to the next sign, I want you to carry this truth with you. Your oneness with all that is isn't just a comforting thought. It's the foundation of your power. The end of separation is just the beginning of what you're capable of. Are you ready to discover the second sign that your spiritual awakening is complete? The journey continues, but you'll never walk alone again, because alone was always an illusion. Chosen one. Let me ask you something. Do you remember a time when making decisions felt like walking through a maze blindfolded? When you'd second-guess yourself, endlessly asking friend after friend for their opinion, until you were drowning in confusion? That was before the veil lifted. Now something has changed within you, hasn't it? That small voice inside. It's no longer small, is it? It's become a command, a knowing so deep that trying to ignore it feels like resisting gravity itself. This is the second unmistakable sign your spiritual awakening is complete. Your intuition has become your order. Before you questioned, now you know. Before you doubted, now you act. Before you feared, now you trust. In Proverbs 3:5-6, Scripture tells us, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to him, and he will make your paths straight." What the world calls intuition, God calls his voice within you. Think about it. When was the last time you just knew something without explanation? When you met someone and instantly sensed their true nature? When an opportunity presented itself and deep within you already had your answer? The sacred compass within you has awakened. You've stopped arguing with your soul. Let me tell you something, the spiritual masters won't admit this gift is rare. Most people live their entire lives drowning out their inner voice with noise, distraction, and the opinions of others. But not you. You've become a warrior of light, attuned to the commanding voice of the gods. Your intuition speaks the language of the universe, the sound that everyone understands without speaking. This isn't just some gut feeling. This is ancient wisdom coursing through your veins. This is the divine GPS that existed long before technology. This is your birthright. Remember that decision you made recently that others questioned, the one that made no logical sense but felt undeniably right. That wasn't random. That was your awakened power. And I need to warn you about something. Once this gift activates fully, there's no going back. The world will try to make you doubt yourself again. People will say, be practical, be reasonable, think logically. Do not listen. They still need external validation because they haven't awakened yet. They haven't heard the voice you hear. When Mother Teresa was called to serve the poorest of the poor in Calcutta, logic said, impossible. Her intuition said, go. And the world was forever changed. When David faced Goliath, logic said, run. His intuition said, fight. And history was forever altered. You see, chosen one, you aren't suddenly smarter than everyone else. You just no longer argue with your soul. The wrestling match between your head and your heart is over. Your spiritual DNA has been activated, and now your intuition flows like a mighty river, clear, powerful, unstoppable. When God says, this way, do you still need a committee to confirm it? When your spirit says, not this person, do you still need evidence of their betrayal? When your heart says, now is the time, do you still check your watch? The answers you've been seeking outside have always been within you. You just couldn't hear them through the noise. But now, the noise has been silenced, hasn't it? In John 10:27, Jesus says, my sheep hear my voice, I know them, and they follow me. You hear that voice now, don't you? Not just occasionally, but constantly. It guides your decisions, your relationships, your purpose. This isn't imagination. This isn't coincidence. This is your awakening, complete. Consider this. What would your life look like if you honored that voice completely? What mountains would you move? What healing would you bring? What impossible dreams would suddenly become inevitable? The days of seeking signs outside yourself are over. You are the sign. Your knowing is the confirmation. Your intuition is the order. But this gift comes with responsibility. As your intuition strengthens, so must your courage to follow it, even when, no, especially when, it leads you where others fear to go. Have you ever felt like you knew something before logic even came into the picture? Like the answer was downloaded directly into your soul? If this resonates with the truth of your experience, comment below, I trust my inner voice. Declare it to the universe. Affirm your awakening and prepare yourself, chosen one, because once you fully embrace this divine intuition, the third sign will begin to manifest in your life, transforming how you view everything you once thought valuable. Do you remember that moment standing in your home, surrounded by everything you worked so hard to obtain, yet feeling absolutely nothing? The emptiness that hit you when you realized the next purchase, the next promotion, the next status symbol wouldn't fill the void inside. Society told you the lie, and you believed it. Just a little more money, just a little more recognition, just a few more things, and then you'll be happy. But the happiness never came. Did it, chosen one? This is the third unmistakable sign your spiritual awakening is complete. You are no longer controlled by material desires. Remember Ecclesiastes 5:10. Whoever loves money never has enough. Whoever loves wealth is never satisfied with their income. This too is meaningless. Solomon, the wealthiest man who ever lived, discovered what you now know. The golden cage of materialism is still a cage. Look at your life now. Notice how something has fundamentally shifted. The designer labels that once called your name now seem hollow. The status symbols that once defined your worth now feel empty. It's not that you've rejected prosperity, it's that you've rejected the prison. You've discovered what Jesus meant in Matthew 6:21. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. And your heart, it's no longer chained to the things of this world. You were once like that bird in the golden cage, surrounded by luxury but unable to fly, imprisoned by comparison, shackled by society's definition of success. But now the cage door has swung open, and you've discovered something revolutionary. True abundance flows not from what you possess, but from who you are. Do you realize what this means, chosen one? While the world remains enslaved to endless consumption, you are free to create. While others chase the spotlight, you have found the light within. When was the last time you walked away from something that would have impressed others but didn't align with your soul? When did you realize that the approval of others was a currency that left you bankrupt? The transformation is undeniable. You no longer chase material wealth to fill a spiritual void. You understand now that no amount of money can buy peace. No possession can provide purpose. This doesn't mean you reject prosperity. This is critical to understand. You are not against money. You just refuse to let it define your soul. Money is now your servant, not your master. Possessions are tools for your mission, not the mission itself. As 1 Timothy 6:7-8 reminds us, "For we brought nothing into the world, and we can take nothing out of it. But if we have food and clothing, we will be content with that." This freedom terrifies those still trapped in the system. They can't comprehend how you've broken free from the endless cycle of want, how you've discovered that true wealth is measured in peace, purpose, and power, not possessions. Tell me, chosen one, when the advertisements flash before you promising happiness through consumption, do you feel that knowing smile cross your lips? Do you recognize the deception that once held you captive? This transformation didn't happen overnight. Remember those moments wrestling with your ego, the times you questioned your worth when someone else displayed their wealth, the inner conflict as you released your grip on what society told you to value. But now you stand in a new reality. You use what you have to further your divine purpose. Material things serve your mission. You no longer serve them. Like Jesus turning over the tables of the money changers, in the temple you've driven out the spirit of materialism from the sacred space of your soul. This freedom, chosen one, is just the beginning. As you continue to break the chains that once bound you, your true power emerges. The energy once wasted on chasing things of this world is now directed toward your divine assignment. Have you ever overcome your addiction to image achievement or comparison? Has something inside you shifted in how you view success and wealth? Comment below. I use material things. Material things do not use me, but freedom from material bondage is just one sign of your completed awakening. The next sign reveals something even more powerful about your transformation. Chosen one, let me speak to that place within you that others have never understood, that quiet corner of your soul where you've retreated when the world became too loud. Remember those moments when everyone around you was talking, but somehow no one was saying anything that mattered. There was a time when your loneliness felt like abandonment wasn't there, when the silence of your phone, the empty chair across from you, the conversations that suddenly stopped when you entered the room, they all felt like punishment. But something has shifted within you, hasn't it? The very solitude that once wounded you has transformed into something precious, something sacred. Even though I walk through the darkest valley, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Psalm 23:4. Listen to me carefully, chosen one. Your isolation is not a punishment. It is God's preparation ritual. In the sacred cave of your aloneness, you've discovered what few ever will, that true power doesn't come from constant connection to others, but from the divine connection within. Moses wasn't ready to lead until he spent 40 years in the wilderness. Jesus sought solitude before every major miracle. Joseph's greatest revelations came in the isolation of prison. The world called it rejection. God called it selection. Have you noticed how you no longer chase after relationships that drain you? How you've stopped forcing connections that don't resonate with your spirit? How you've begun to protect your energy like the precious resource it is? This is the golden silence where God reshapes your destiny. the holy emptiness where divine assignments are born, the sacred space where heaven washes light, before assigning tasks too important for those who fear being alone. Think back, chosen one. Remember when you withdrew from that gathering because something in your spirit felt off, when you chose silence over argument knowing words would only create more distance, when you refused to engage in drama even when others called you cold or distant. That wasn't weakness. That was wisdom awakening. That wasn't antisocial. That was your soul protecting its mission. The ordinary souls fear silence because in quietness they hear their own emptiness. But you, chosen one, in your solitude, you hear whispers of destiny. Be still and know that I am God. Psalm 46:10. And in that stillness, you found not isolation, but initiation. Do you remember when Jesus went to the Garden of Gethsemane alone, when his closest friends couldn't stay awake during his darkest hour? That wasn't coincidence. That was preparation. Some prayers can only be spoken in solitude. Some strength can only be forged in isolation. Some callings can only be heard in silence. When others whispered behind your back, "What's wrong with them? Why are they always alone?" God was whispering, "Nothing's wrong with my chosen vessel. I'm setting them apart." Your loneliness was never rejection. It was protection. Your solitude was never a wall. It was a womb. Your isolation was never abandonment. It was anointing. And now look at you. You no longer fear being alone. You no longer feel that desperate need to fill your calendar, your home, your life with noise just to drown out your thoughts. You've made peace with the sacred gift of solitude. And in doing so, you've unlocked a power that those who fear being alone will never know. Have you ever been misunderstood just because you were silent at the right time, when others demanded you speak but something deeper told you to wait? Comment, "I choose silence on purpose," if you've felt the holy power of strategic solitude. But chosen one, this acceptance of sacred solitude is just the beginning. As you've made peace with being set apart, you've also begun to notice something strange happening around you. People are now drawn to your presence in ways you can't explain. The very light you cultivated in solitude is now becoming a beacon that others cannot resist. And that is the next unmistakable sign that your awakening is complete. Chosen one, have you noticed something strange happening lately? The way people seem drawn to you without explanation. Perhaps strangers in the grocery store suddenly confiding their deepest troubles. The coworker who seeks you out in the break room, eyes filling with tears as they share burdens they've told no one else. Your phone lighting up with messages from old friends who just needed to hear your voice. Family members calling not for small talk, but for guidance they can't explain why they're seeking. This is no coincidence. This is the fifth unmistakable sign your spiritual awakening is complete. People are being divinely guided to your light. You see, when your awakening reaches completion, something profound happens. Your frequency changes, your energy shifts, and though you say nothing about it, though you make no announcements, seek no followers, souls in darkness begin to find you, like moths to a flame, like ships to a lighthouse, like thirsty travelers to living water. Remember what Jesus said in Matthew 5:14-16. You are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden, nor do people light a lamp and put it under a basket, but on a stand, and it gives light to all in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before others. Have you been hiding your light, chosen one? Have you been dimming your brilliance because it makes others uncomfortable? Let me tell you something that might shake you, that stops today. The world is drowning in darkness. Addiction, depression, anxiety, loneliness, people walking around with phone screens glowing in their faces, but spiritual emptiness in their hearts. and God has positioned you as a lighthouse in this fog. You didn't ask for this assignment. You might not even feel ready, but the evidence is all around you. People are being supernaturally drawn to the light within you. Remember when you were lost, yourself. Remember when you stumbled in that same darkness, when pain was your companion and confusion your guide. Others are coming to you now, not because you're perfect, but because you've walked through the same darkness as them and survived and healed, and now you carry the map through that wilderness. The broken-hearted woman at church who somehow always ends up sitting next to you. The troubled teenager who only seems to open up when you're around. The neighbor who knocks on your door just to talk when their life is falling apart. They're not random encounters, they're divine appointments. You are becoming what Isaiah prophesied in Isaiah 60, 1-3. Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord rises upon you. See, darkness covers the earth, and thick darkness is over the peoples, but the Lord rises upon you, and his glory appears over you. Nations will come to your light, and kings to the brightness of your dawn. Do you understand what this means? Chosen one. Your spiritual awakening wasn't just for you, it was for them. For all the lost souls God is now directing to your doorstep. What happens if you refuse this calling? What becomes of those specifically appointed to receive guidance through your light? Every time you doubt your purpose, someone remains in darkness who was meant to find their way through you. Every time you hide your gifts, someone stays lost who was destined to be found through your guidance. This magnetism you're experiencing, this supernatural drawing of others to your spirit, it requires no effort. A lighthouse doesn't strain to attract ships. It simply stands and shines. Your presence alone has become healing. Your energy alone has become guidance. Your wisdom alone has become salvation for those who seek it. Think about it right now. Who in your life has been drawn to you recently? Without explanation, whose eyes have sought yours out in a crowded room, who has called you out of the blue after years of silence? Those aren't random events. Those are souls seeking the light that now radiates through you. The question isn't whether you're called to shine. The signs are already confirming it. The only question is whether you'll embrace it fully or continue to doubt what God has already established. If you have ever been the person who made others feel at peace without speaking a word, if you've ever calmed a situation just by walking into the room, if strangers have ever trusted you with their deepest secrets, minutes after meeting you, comment, "I am the light," right now. Declare it to the universe. Confirm it to yourself. Proclaim it to those waiting in darkness for the guidance only you can provide. But with this divine magnetism comes a sacred responsibility, because once you recognize that others seek your light, you must protect it at all costs. And that leads us to the sixth sign that your spiritual awakening is complete. Chosen one, let me ask you something that might shake your soul to its very foundation. Have you noticed that you can now feel the lie before it's even spoken? Can you sense when something isn't right, even when everyone else is nodding along? The sixth sign that your spiritual awakening is complete is perhaps the most powerful gift of all. In these deceptive times you see through illusions, lies, and false light. This isn't just discernment, beloved. This is divine sight. As Ephesians 5:11 commands us, take no part in the unfruitful works of darkness, but instead expose them. And now you are equipped to do exactly that. Before your awakening, you lived in a world cloaked in illusion. You accepted what authorities told you. You believed what the news reported. You nodded when experts spoke. But now your soul's eye is open, wide open, and it cannot be fooled. You walk into a room and immediately feel the hidden agendas. You watch leaders speak and see the masks they wear. You read between carefully crafted lines and perceive the manipulation hiding in plain sight. This is no ordinary gift, chosen one. This is what Jesus referred to in Matthew 10:16, when he said, "Be wise as serpents and innocent as doves." You've become the gatekeeper of truth in a world drowning in deception. Remember when you used to get drawn into drama that wasn't yours, when you couldn't tell if someone was being authentic or manipulative, when you couldn't distinguish between genuine spiritual teaching and clever marketing. Those days are gone, forever. Your spiritual discernment has become like an energy sword that tears through every curtain of deception. The false prophets that Jesus warned about in Matthew 24:24, those who would show great signs and wonders to deceive, if possible, even the elect. They cannot deceive you anymore. You now possess the third eye that cannot be fooled, not by fancy words, not by credentials, not by charisma, not even by so-called spiritual performances. Have you felt it? That instant knowing, that immediate recognition when something feels off. This gift scares those who live behind masks, because to you, their darkness is now visible even when wrapped in the brightest light. But make no mistake, this power comes with tremendous responsibility, for as you see through the veil, you become a threat to the powers that have controlled humanity through deception. In John 8:32, Jesus promised, "You will know the truth, and the truth will set you free." But freedom bearers have always faced resistance from those who profit from captivity. This world is constructed of layer upon layer of illusion, systems designed to keep souls asleep, narratives crafted to maintain control, spiritual messages twisted to create dependency rather than empowerment. But you, chosen one, you no longer see with your eyes. You see with your frequencies. You do not hear with your ears. You hear with the truth. And this is why certain people feel uncomfortable around you now. Why conversations sometimes fall silent when you enter a room. Why some may even try to discredit your perceptions. When you stand in truth, you become a living mirror, reflecting back the reality that others work so hard to hide even from themselves. I need you to understand something crucial. This gift of seeing through deception isn't meant to make you cynical or afraid. It's meant to make you powerful. It's meant to keep you protected as you carry your light into the darkest places. As 1 John 4:4 reminds us, "Greater is he who is in you than he who is in the world." Think about it. When was the last time you instantly recognized someone's true intention despite their carefully crafted words? When did you last walk away from something that everyone else was chasing because your soul simply knew better? Your discernment is no coincidence. It is divine protection for the mission ahead. The powers of deception know their time is short and their scripts are becoming more sophisticated, but they cannot fool you anymore. Have you ever recognized fake light with just one touch of energy? Have you felt the immediate dissonance when someone speaks spiritual words but carries darker frequencies? If you possess this gift of divine discernment, this ability to see what others cannot, comment below, "I distinguish with the truth." Why? And now, chosen one, as we approach the final sign, prepare yourself, because once you recognize all 7 signs within you, there's no going back to who you once were. The final confirmation awaits, and with it the beginning of your true divine mission on this earth. Chosen one, let me ask you something. Have you felt it? That undeniable stirring deep within your chest, that restlessness that keeps you awake at night? It's no ordinary feeling. It's the 7th sign, the final confirmation that your spiritual awakening is complete. You can no longer resist the call of your divine mission. Once you could push it aside. Once you could distract yourself with the world's empty entertainments. Once you could pretend that small life was enough. But now that call burns in your ribs like holy fire. Your heart no longer beats to your own rhythm. It pounds to the cadence of your sacred purpose. Remember Jonah. He tried to run from God's calling. He boarded a ship heading the opposite direction, thinking he could escape his divine assignment. But what happened? The storm came, the waves rose, and Jonah found himself in the belly of the great fish, in the darkness of his own denial, until he finally surrendered to his mission. Beloved, your storm is already here. The waves are already rising. Proverbs 29:18 tells us, "Where there is no vision, the people perish." But what about when there is vision, yet you refuse to act on it? That's why you can't sleep at night. That's why nothing satisfies you anymore. That's why you feel like you're dying inside, despite having everything this world says should make you happy. The fire has reached your soul, and it cannot be extinguished. Let me tell you what happens to those who resist this seventh sign, who feel the call but refuse to answer. Their joy withers, their purpose fades, their light dims. They become hollow versions of themselves, walking through life as shadows instead of the radiant beings they were created to be. Is that what you want for yourself? Chosen one, Moses made excuses. "I cannot speak well," he told God at the burning bush. But God didn't accept his reluctance. The Israelites needed him. Esther hesitated before approaching the king, knowing it could mean death. But Mordecai reminded her, "Perhaps you were born for such a time as this." And you, chosen one, you were born for such a time as this. The world is at a critical juncture. Darkness spreads. People wander lost. They need the light you carry. They need the wisdom you've been given. They need the healing in your hands. Here's the truth that will set you free. You were not awakened to observe the world. You were called to change it. Every great spiritual leader throughout history reached this moment of decision, the moment when they could no longer turn back, when the fire within outgrew their fear. Think of Paul on the road to Damascus, struck blind until he surrendered to his purpose. Think of Mother Teresa leaving her comfortable teaching position to serve the poorest of the poor. Think of Martin Luther King Jr. stepping forward to lead a movement when it would have been easier to stay silent. What are you waiting for? Another sign you've received 7 more preparation. You've been prepared your entire life. Permission. Heaven itself is authorizing you right now. I know what's holding you back. It's not that you don't feel the call. It's that you're afraid of how answering that call will change your life. You're afraid of stepping out of comfort into purpose. You're afraid of what others might think. You're afraid you might fail. But chosen one, what you should truly fear is reaching the end of your days and realizing you never fulfilled what you were sent here to do. Isaiah 6:8 says, "Then I heard the voice of the Lord saying, 'Whom shall I send, and who will go for us?' And I said, 'Here am I. Send me.'" The universe is not asking if you're ready. The call is not negotiable. The mission is not optional. Your awakening was never about you alone. It was preparation for what you must now do for others. The time for hesitation is over. The time for preparation is over. The time for waiting is over. Step out now. The universe is not waiting, and neither can you. If you are ready to answer the call, to step fully into your divine mission, comment right now, "I step out now." Don't type it tomorrow. Don't promise to do it later. Don't say someday. Say it now. Declare it now. Commit to it now, because chosen in this moment of decision, it's the difference between a life of purpose and a life of regret. And once you've taken that step, once you've answered the call, it's time to learn exactly how to use the divine powers you've been given. Are you ready? Chosen one, hear me clearly. What I'm about to tell you isn't just another spiritual message. It's a divine commission. There's something most spiritual teachers won't tell you, something that separates those who merely experience awakening from those who fulfill their true destiny. The hard truth. Your awakening was never meant to be just for you. Let that sink in. All the signs, the synchronicities, the divine appointments, they weren't random. They weren't just to make you feel special. They were preparation. But preparation for what? In Matthew 5:14-15, Jesus declares, "You are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden, nor do people light a lamp and put it under a basket, but on a stand, and it gives light to all in the house." Do you hear what the Spirit is saying to you right now? Your light wasn't ignited just to warm your own soul. How many people in your life right now are still walking in darkness? How many of your loved ones are still trapped in illusions, still bound by fear, still searching for something they cannot name? They're waiting for you, not someone else. You. Remember when you first began to awaken? The confusion, the isolation, the feeling that no one else could possibly understand what you were experiencing. Remember praying that someone, anyone, would come along who could explain what was happening to you. Now look at you. Look how far you've come, the wisdom you've gained, the clarity you possess, the truth you now embody. You've become exactly what you once desperately needed. In Esther 4:14, Mordecai tells Queen Esther, "And who knows whether you have not come to the kingdom for such a time as this? I'm telling you with absolute certainty, you were awakened for this moment in history, when darkness seems to be overtaking everything, when souls are more lost and confused than ever before. The greatest tragedy in spiritual history isn't those who never awaken. It's those who awaken but keep their light hidden, who receive divine revelation but never share it. Right now, as I speak these words to you, someone in your life is praying for guidance. Someone is crying out for answers. Someone is at their breaking point, and God has positioned you, not a pastor, not a guru, not a celebrity preacher, but you to be their light. You are the first lamp in a darkened village, the first spark that will spread into a tower of light, the one chosen to awaken your entire bloodline. Think of it. Generations of your family have lived and died in spiritual slumber, but the chain breaks with you. Through your courage to not just embrace your awakening, but to share it, you become the turning point in your family's spiritual legacy. But I must warn you, this calling comes with resistance. People may mock you, they may reject you, they may call you crazy or too spiritual. Even Jesus himself said in John 15:18, "If the world hates you, know that it has hated me before it hated you." Are you willing to be misunderstood? Are you prepared to speak truth even when it's uncomfortable? Can you stand firm when those closest to you pull away? This is where everything changes. This is where your spiritual journey transforms from personal growth to divine purpose. You are not only chosen to see the light, you are chosen to be the light that illuminates others. Imagine the ripple effect of your courage. One soul you awaken might awaken 10 more. Those 10 might awaken hundreds. Those hundreds, thousands. This is how revival begins. Not with massive crusades or famous evangelists, but with one awakened soul brave enough to share their light. With you. So I ask you, chosen one, will you accept this sacred commission? Will you step beyond your comfort zone? Will you risk being rejected to fulfill the very purpose for which you were awakened? The world doesn't need more spiritual consumers. It needs spiritual igniters. It needs you. If you are willing to awaken another soul, to be the one who breaks generational darkness, comment right now, "I am the one who enlightens another soul." Declare it to the universe. Commit your spirit to this divine purpose, because the next great awakening isn't coming through institutions or organizations. It's coming through individuals like you who understand that true spiritual power isn't just in receiving light, but in becoming the light that awakens others. The question is no longer, are you awakened? The question now is, what will you do with your light? And this is where we must understand the profound responsibility that comes with spiritual power, because the time for sitting on the sidelines is over. Chosen one, there comes a moment in every spiritual journey when you must face a profound truth. The person you were yesterday cannot enter the kingdom that awaits you tomorrow. Look back at that old self, that version of you that walked in darkness, that lived in fear, that doubted your divine purpose. That version of you has served its time. But now, it's time for a sacred farewell. How long have you clung to what no longer serves you? How many nights have you carried burdens that were never yours to bear? Ecclesiastes 3:1 tells us, to everything there is a season and a time, to every purpose under heaven. Your season of wandering is over. The caterpillar doesn't argue with the butterfly it becomes. It surrenders to transformation because deep in its DNA it knows its true destiny. Yet here you stand, 1 foot in your glorious future, 1 foot chained to a past that whispers, stay small, stay safe, don't rock the boat. When Moses stood before the burning bush, did God say, remain as you are? No, Exodus 3:10 declares, so now go, I am sending you to Pharaoh to bring my people out of Egypt. God didn't call Moses to remain a shepherd. He called him to become a deliverer. And yet, how many of you still cling to your shepherd's staff when you've been called to part the Red Sea? The truth is painful but necessary. The friend you used to be cannot take you to where your soul is calling. That old version of you, the one who doubted, who feared, who played small, must be laid to rest with honor. Like the phoenix, you cannot rise from the ashes if you refuse to burn. Every great biblical transformation required a death before resurrection. Joseph had to die to being a dreamer to become a ruler. David had to die to being a shepherd to become a king. Paul had to die to being Saul before he could spread the gospel. What parts of you are desperately clinging to life when God has scheduled their funeral? Is it the need for everyone's approval that keeps you hostage? Is it the comfort of familiar suffering that's become your false home? Is it the voice that says, who am I to be powerful, radiant, chosen? 2 Corinthians 5:17 declares, therefore, if anyone is in Christ, the new creation has come, the old has gone, the new is here, the old has gone. Not the old is hanging around just in case. I see you, chosen one. I see how you've tried to bring your old self into your new season, how you've tried to compromise with what God has clearly marked for burial, but you cannot cross the Jordan carrying Egyptian souvenirs. Today, right now, in this sacred moment, it's time for the funeral of your ego, time to say goodbye to the name you've answered to for so long, so you can hear when God calls you by your true name. This isn't just spiritual theory. This is your life. When you leave this video, you'll face the same choices, the same relationships, the same challenges, but either as your old self or as God's activated vessel. The old you made decisions from fear. The old you sought validation from the world. The old you waited for permission to shine. The old you apologized for taking up space in a world desperate for your light. But that ends today. In ancient Jewish tradition, there is a ritual called tashlich, where sins are cast into flowing water, symbolizing their permanent removal. Today, I'm asking you to perform your own tashlich, to identify what must die so your divine purpose can fully live. Romans 12:2 commands us, do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Transformation isn't a gentle suggestion, it's a divine command. Take a moment right now. Close your eyes if you're able. Place your hand on your heart. What is the one thing the Holy Spirit is highlighting that must be released? Is it fear, doubt, people-pleasing, an old wound you've nursed into an identity? Now, it's time to let it go. Write down the last thing you want to say goodbye to. Comment, "I let go of," and complete the sentence. Speak it out loud. Make it official. This is your spiritual declaration of independence. The old version of you brought you this far. Honor it, thank it, and now release it back to the dust, because where God is taking you next requires a vessel fully emptied before it can be divinely filled. And as you stand in this sacred moment of release, your eyes will begin to open to the first undeniable sign that your awakening is complete. The evidence has been there all along, waiting for you to finally see it. Chosen one, the battle you've been fighting in the spiritual realm, it's already been won. Let that sink in for a moment. The victory you've been praying for, it's already yours. The breakthrough you've been seeking, it's standing at your doorstep. You see, most believers spend their entire lives begging God for what He's already given them. They're living like spiritual paupers when the King has already declared them royalty. Is this you? Have you been fighting battles that were settled at Calvary? Have you been asking for power that was bestowed upon you at Pentecost? Listen closely. This might be the most important message you've ever heard. When David faced Goliath, he didn't pray for victory. He declared it, "This day the Lord will deliver you into my hand." The battle was won in his spirit before the stone ever left his sling. Your spiritual awakening wasn't just about seeing truth. It was about becoming the truth. The problem isn't that you lack power. The problem is that you've been living as if you lack power. Look at Ephesians 1:19-20. "And what is the immeasurable greatness of His power toward us, who believe according to the working of His great might, that He worked in Christ when He raised Him from the dead." The same power that raised Christ from the dead lives in you right now. But here's the shocking reality. Most believers never confront. What good is resurrection power if you choose to live in the tomb? Let me ask you something that might shake you to your core. What if heaven is watching you, wondering why you're begging for what's already in your hands? When a soldier returns from war victorious, does he continue to wear his battle gear? Does he sleep with his weapon? Does he jump at every sound? No, he hangs up his armor. He celebrates. He lives as a victor. Yet how many of God's chosen ones are still living as if the war rages on? How many are still fighting battles in territories that God has already conquered? The crown has already been given to you. The victory banner already waves over your life. The warrior, that's you, has gone through the darkness and brought the light back with you. It's time to stop asking God for victory and start thanking Him for the victory He's already secured. Do you realize what happens when you finally grasp this truth? Everything changes. Your prayers change. Your posture changes. Your power changes. When Moses stood before the Red Sea, God asked him a startling question. "Why are you crying out to me? Tell the people to move forward." Beloved, God is asking you the same question today. Why are you crying out for what's already been given? It's time to move forward. The Israelites spent 40 years wandering in a wilderness journey that should have taken 11 days. Why? Because they refused to live as conquerors. They had a wilderness mentality in a promised land season. Is that you? Have you been circling the same mountain for years when your promised land is just one decision away? Romans 8:37 declares you are more than a conqueror. Not going to be, not might be, but are right now in this moment. The difference between those who live in power and those who don't isn't God's favoritism. It's their decision to live according to what's already been established in the spiritual realm. You no longer need to ask for victory. You have it. Just live as if it were yours. You no longer need to beg for breakthrough. You are the breakthrough. You no longer need to search for your purpose. Your awakening has confirmed it. When Jesus said, "It is finished," on the cross, He meant it. The battle for your soul, your purpose, your power finished. Dear one, I need to ask you something, and I want you to really feel this question in your spirit. What would tomorrow look like if you woke up and simply decided to live as the spiritual victor you already are? What would change if you stopped identifying with the struggle and started embodying the victory? What if today, yes, today, you laid down the mentality of a spiritual beggar and picked up the authority of a spiritual heir? The same God who said, "Let there be light," and split darkness from the world, has spoken light and power into your spirit. Your spiritual awakening wasn't the destination, it was the coronation. The crown is already on your head. The scepter is already in your hand. The kingdom authority is already in your voice. Now live like it, speak like it, pray like it, believe like it. The time for spiritual timidity is over. The season of powerless Christianity is finished. The era of begging God for what He's already declared is done. You are God's chosen one, awakened, empowered, and commissioned. If you are ready to live in total light, if you're ready to stop asking for victory and start living in victory, comment, "I live like a winner," because that's who you are. That's who you've always been. That's who God sees when He looks at you. Now it's time for you to see it too. Listen up, my friend. What good is a spiritual awakening if it doesn't transform your Monday morning? That's the real test. When the inspiration fades and the daily grind kicks in, that's when your awakening gets put to work. Start your mornings with intention, not distraction. Most folks wake up and immediately reach for their phones, bombarding their spirits with news, social media, and messages before their feet even hit the floor. Instead, claim those first 15 minutes. Breathe deeply. Declare your victory out loud. Remember who you are before the world tells you otherwise. Your awakening isn't just for Sunday service. It's for the grocery store line when someone's taking too long. It's for the doctor's office when the diagnosis isn't what you hoped. It's for the family dinner when old wounds resurface. Real spiritual power shows up when you respond differently to the same old triggers. Notice how fear tries to convince you it's wisdom. "Better play it safe," it whispers. But here's the truth at your age. You've earned the right to bold living. You've survived enough to know that most fears never materialize. The regrets that haunt people in their final days aren't the risks they took. They're the chances they didn't take when the door was open. Create daily reminders of your spiritual authority. Put sticky notes on your bathroom mirror with declarations like, "I live from victory, not for it," or "God's power doesn't have off days, and neither do I." Your environment shapes your thinking more than you realize. Practice what I call spiritual intervention. When a negative thought pattern begins, stop it cold. Replace "I'm too old for this" with "I have wisdom that makes me perfectly equipped." Replace "I'm alone" with "I'm positioned for divine appointments." Now, your words create your reality faster than you think. Look for opportunities to be the miracle someone else is praying for. Hold doors, leave generous tips, call that friend who's struggling. Small kindnesses aren't small at all. They're evidence that light is working through you. When you stop waiting for signs and start becoming the sign, everything shifts. Pay attention to synchronicities, those coincidences that feel divinely orchestrated. The person you meet who has exactly the connection you need. The book that falls open to the page with your answer. These aren't random events, they're confirmation you're in spiritual alignment. Finally, remember that power isn't perfection. You'll still have hard days. You'll still get things wrong, but the difference now is that you don't stay there. You don't let temporary setbacks become permanent identities. You bounce back faster because you know who you really are. Your spiritual awakening isn't just about feeling special. It's about becoming necessary. In a world full of darkness, awakened souls become light carriers. And let me tell you something, at this moment in history, we need your light more than ever. So shine unapologetically. The world has waited long enough. My dear friends, as we come to the close of our time together, I want to make sure you carry these sacred truths with you long after this video ends. Remember, your spiritual awakening wasn't meant to be endless seeking. It was preparation for this moment when you step fully into your divine purpose. Those 7 signs we discussed aren't just concepts. They're confirmation that the waiting is over. You've been equipped. You've been prepared. You've been chosen. The discomfort you've felt, that divine restlessness, it wasn't punishment. It was your spirit outgrowing old limitations. Like an eagle that can no longer be contained in the nest, you're being called to soar. Not tomorrow, not when you feel more ready. Now, I want you to know something with absolute certainty. You are not walking this path alone. The God who awakened you isn't suddenly going to abandon you as you step into your purpose. As Isaiah 41:10 promises, "Fear not, for I am with you. Be not dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you, I will help you, I will uphold you with my righteous right hand." And beyond the divine presence that never leaves you, there's this community right here. Thousands of awakened souls just like you, ready to pray, support, and encourage you. The comments section below isn't just a place for thoughts. It's a gathering place for warriors of light. You belong here. Before we part ways, I want to ask you something that might stay with you for days to come. What if the very thing you've been waiting for God to do in your life is actually waiting for you to step into the authority He's already given you? Let's pray together. Heavenly Father, I place my hand on the shoulder of my brother, my sister watching right now. You see their heart. You know their struggles. You understand their doubts. I ask you to confirm in their spirit the truth they've heard today, that their awakening was not the destination, but the preparation. Lord, give them supernatural courage to step out of the boat of comfort and safety. When the voices of doubt come, and they will come, drown those voices with your whisper of truth. Remind them who called them, who equipped them, who believes in them. Open doors that no man can shut. Close doors that would lead them away from their divine assignment. Connect them with fellow light bearers who will strengthen them when their arms grow weary. And Father, I specifically ask for a fresh anointing of boldness to fall on them right now where they sit. Let them feel your presence. Let them sense your approval. Let them know in their innermost being that the time is now. In Jesus' mighty name, amen. If this message has touched your heart today, I'd be honored if you'd leave a comment below. Simply share which of the 7 signs resonated most deeply with you. Our team prays over every comment, and your testimony might be exactly what someone else needs to read today. And if you know someone who's been searching, someone who's been feeling that call to something greater but hasn't been able to put it into words, share this video with them. Sometimes the greatest act of love is connecting someone to the message they've been waiting to hear. From the bottom of my heart, thank you for staying with me through this entire message. These aren't just words on a script to me. This is a sacred mission to awaken the chosen ones God has called for such a time as this. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and notification bell so we can continue this journey together. The world is waiting for you to shine, chosen one. Go forth in power. Go forth in purpose. Go forth knowing you are never, ever alone. Each week on Spirit Way, we explore another dimension of your divine calling. Next week's message will reveal how to silence the voices of doubt that try to keep you small. Your awakening has stirred the darkness, and I'll show you how to stand unshaken in your light. Until next time, this is Spirit Way reminding you that your awakening was just the beginning. The best is yet to come. Declare it to the universe. Confirm it to yourself. Proclaim it to those waiting in darkness for the guidance only you can provide. But with this divine magnetism comes a sacred responsibility, because once you recognize that others seek your light, you must protect it at all costs. And that leads us to the sixth sign that your spiritual awakening is complete. Chosen one, let me ask you something that might shake your soul to its very foundation. Have you noticed that you can now feel the lie before it's even spoken? Can you sense when something isn't right, even when everyone else is nodding along? The sixth sign that your spiritual awakening is complete is perhaps the most powerful gift of all. In these deceptive times, you see through illusions, lies, and false light. This isn't just discernment, beloved. This is divine sight. As Ephesians 5:11 commands us, take no part in the unfruitful works of darkness, but instead expose them. And now you are equipped to do exactly that. Before your awakening, you lived in a world cloaked in illusion. You accepted what authorities told you. You believed what the news reported. You nodded when experts spoke. But now your soul's eye is open, wide open, and it cannot be fooled. You walk into a room and immediately feel the hidden agendas. You watch leaders speak and see the masks they wear. You read between carefully crafted lines and perceive the manipulation hiding in plain sight. This is no ordinary gift, chosen one. This is what Jesus referred to in Matthew 10:16 when he said, "Be wise as serpents and innocent as doves." You've become the gatekeeper of truth in a world drowning in deception. Remember when you used to get drawn into drama that wasn't yours, when you couldn't tell if someone was being authentic or manipulative, when you couldn't distinguish between genuine spiritual teaching and clever marketing. Those days are gone, forever. Your spiritual discernment has become like an energy sword that tears through every curtain of deception. The false prophets that Jesus warned about in Matthew 24:24, those who would show great signs and wonders to deceive, if possible, even the elect. They cannot deceive you anymore. You now possess the third eye that cannot be fooled, not by fancy words, not by credentials, not by charisma, not even by so-called spiritual performances. Have you felt it? That instant knowing, that immediate recognition when something feels off. This gift scares those who live behind masks, because to you their darkness is now visible even when wrapped in the brightest light.